We're all sick, tired, and wasted. We're all sick, tired, and wasted. You're not the only one.
Welcome to Redacted Tonight VIP. I'm Lee Camp. Today I have a pretty big story that the mainstream media is completely ignoring. The Dakota Access Pipeline is not just destroying the land, water, and lives of the Standing Rock Sioux in North Dakota. It's ruining a lot of lives in a lot of places, and this includes Cindy Coppola in Calhoun County, Iowa. Cindy was arrested recently on her own farm for blocking the path of the construction equipment tearing apart her own land. Did I mention it's her own farm? Without further ado, here's my interview with Cindy Coppola. Cindy, thanks for taking the time to join me here.
You're welcome, Lee. It's nice to talk to you.
So, most people know now about the Dakota Access Pipeline protests that are going on right now. Thousands have flooded into North Dakota to help people protect their land, the sacred Standing Rock land there. And I think a lot of people in this country think, oh, that's sad, you know, it's something I wish wasn't happening, but it's just the Native Americans on their reservation, and it's awful, but it's their problem. However, you are in Iowa, and you're unconnected to the Standing Rock Reservation, and the oil titans have stolen your land out from under you, right?
That is correct. They have buried their pipe with the use of eminent domain, which we are fighting with a group of farmers, but we don't go to court until December 15th, or December 14th, and we tried to get a stay, which we failed. They had 6 attorneys there, we had 2, and we did not get the stay, and they targeted the 9 entities that are fighting the eminent domain lawsuit. So it's buried on our land, but not at all on the rest of Iowa farmland.
What do you mean they targeted?
They actually told the judge in court, one of their attorneys, that it would cost $500,000 to skip over each of us and come back if we got the stay. And they wanted each of us to put up a $500,000 bond. However, we lost the stay, and about a week later, they jumped ahead and buried the pipe on the 9 of us, the 9 that are fighting the eminent domain case, and even though they haven't dug on either side of us.
So they basically said, if you don't want us to destroy your land, you owe a $2 million bond. Or $500,000.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
That's backwards logic. When were you first informed by them? Was this years ago that they came up and they said, hey, we're going to rip apart your land?
It was a couple years ago, and, they sent people out, and we said, no, we're not interested in the pipeline. We actually, a couple years before that, had the opportunity to put wind turbines on our farm land, and that would have paid rent every month as opposed to a one-time payment for a lifetime easement. And we said no to the wind turbines because we believe that this is rare, wonderful soil, and we didn't want to encumber our land so that we had to farm around, the wind turbines. It turns out if we'd done the wind turbines, we wouldn't have the pipeline because the electricity they can't put a pipeline in where there's the wind turbines because of the danger of an explosion.
Right, but you couldn't have known that at the time. I mean, you just wanted to keep your land pristine. How did they pick your land, or the 9 of you? Do you have any idea how they decided they have to go through that area?
Well, actually, there were many more farmers that were against it. And in the beginning, there were many more farmers fighting the eminent domain, but it costs money to fight in court. And we actually have formed a group, and there are 2 attorneys in our group that have pipeline going through their land, and that group pays the lawyer. But they just picked a route. And I think they knew that they'd have some people that didn't want to do it, and they're actually trying to convince the state that they are a utility. So they're being regulated by the Iowa Utilities Board, which is a three-person board appointed by our governor, and our governor campaigned for his last run for being a governor down in Texas with Rick Perry, who's on the board of Energy Transfer. And I understand he received a $100,000 donation from Energy Transfer.
Right. Energy Transfer is the corporation that's
Right.
doing this, and it apparently funded largely by big banks, and they're investing in this pipeline. And you mentioned the court bills, the court fees. I mean, that's part of how our criminal justice system has been rigged against people that can't pay millions of dollars for high-priced lawyers. So that's often how they get away with this. I know you've been trying to fight. You've been trying to fight it in court and out of court, including getting arrested. What's that process been like?
Well, it's been interesting because I've met so many wonderful people,
Right.
and I didn't expect that. Young people, middle-aged, and old people who are fighting the pipeline for various reasons, a lot of environmental reasons, and I actually am also environmentally against it, partially because it's fracked oil, mostly because of global warming. In addition to trying to be a good steward of the land, but when I was in jail, there was a younger woman, and she had learned from the first time it was her second time in jail, and she had learned from someone who she was in jail with, that a woman told her that the antidote to despair is action. And I'm just trying everything I can. I won't give up until the oil starts flowing, and even then, I think it's wrong. I think fracking's wrong. And
right. I think it's wonderful that you're against fracked oil and those things. But the truth is, it wouldn't really matter if you were pro fracking. You still probably wouldn't want a pipeline destroying your land. So
Absolutely. And what's shocking is I've not ever really protested anything. Maybe the Vietnam War. I attended one march when I was
that was going to be my next question. Is, were you an activist before this, or did it kind of just show up at your door?
Yeah, it showed up at my door, and Dakota Access, the people that are working on our land, have been extremely disrespectful, and such as they cut the pipe on our land and welded the pipe on our land. They've made no attempt to capture any of the debris from that. And we have pictures of the debris falling into laying in the soil. Well, of course, then as they continue to work, that's now put into our soil. And we can't find that. We found big rings. We've taken out metal detectors and found 2.5-foot rings that they buried, that they cut off the end of the pipe, and they just don't pick it up. They don't. I swear they don't think they have to, and we're fighting that too. The debris that they're leaving.
Yeah,
really.
well, I think that's a beautiful metaphor for the fact that they think they can just dump on your land however they see fit. They don't. It's we now live in a time where corporations think they own every part of us, our land, our air, our water, and it is representative of that, I think.
Absolutely. And I'll believe a corporation's a person when Texas executes one.
Tell me what your arrest was like. I know Ed Fallon joined you. He's a great Iowa voice of progress. And you decided to block the path of some of the construction equipment. How did the construction workers respond, but then how were the police?
Actually, Dakota Access has added a lot more security personnel, and they are a little bit, they're not friendly, and they never have been. The county sheriff employees and deputies have been very nice. The troopers, the state troopers, are kind of in between. But overall, especially the local sheriff people, department, the deputies, most of them, they say, we can't take sides. They kind of imply they're not. They grew up here. They're not wild about the destruction and this big corporation coming in, but they have a job to do, so they can't take sides. And you know, they've actually when they first started digging on our land, and I went up there. I had just been to nonviolent training, but when I saw our topsoil piled 30 feet high, and the fact that they jumped ahead, I was very upset. Then I got very angry and stopped some equipment back then. And when the sheriff got there, and we even called him, some ladies I'd met the day before at the nonviolent training joined me up in that county, and they actually talked me out of being arrested. They did not want to arrest me, and I respect that. I mean, and I went home that day, but just getting arrested isn't exactly the answer to everything. I did protest with my husband at a place where they're going under the Des Moines River, and it was with a large group of people, and that was in Boone County, and the county law enforcement were actually fun. I mean, they put all of the women in the 13 of us women or 12 of us women into one like 10 foot by 10 foot cell, and we were packed in there. They gave us little mats to sit on because there was nothing in the cell but a drain in the middle of the floor, and then they gave us mats to sit on, like floating mats that you might, real thin ones. And then find out the 6 men had a big room with a table and cards and games and a TV. But anyhow, we were singing songs, and pretty soon they were requesting songs as they, and we're like, well, you have to come in because we don't know the words to that. And they go, well, that's okay. But I mean, they couldn't have, they were very respectful, very understanding.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you haven't faced the dogs that they've sicked on people up at the Standing Rock Reservation, and the drones circling around.
Well, I am concerned, though, that Dakota Access is trying to, I know I work with a lady whose husband and son have been hired as security, and they told them to watch their backs. And one of their security persons has a gun, and we're committed to total nonviolence. I mean, we just want a statement, and I've told her that repeatedly, and I know she's repeated it. But
the idea of it's just our job. Well, a lot of harm has been done in this world under the guise of it's just our job. So, there's got to come a point where people decide that maybe their job isn't worth doing wrong. But I think it's great what you're doing, because I think it's important that people realize that this is not just, professional activists, whatever that is. It's not just people that are touring the country looking for causes. This is people who've, like you said, you haven't protested until this showed up at your door. It's average Americans that are sick of corporations treating everyone like shit.
Exactly. And, I think it's real interesting because on our farm, at one point, there were 10 trucks, and only one of them was from Iowa. And we've gone to other sites. I've only been to a few, but one place, there were 6 trucks, not a single Iowa truck. And in the county that I grew up, which is Webster County, north of where I live now, I was out there one day, and the county sheriff came up and asked where we were from, and we're like, we're from Iowa. Why? And he said, well, I just saw a vehicle out there with Oregon plates. And I think that's interesting that the Dakota Access contractors are from out of state, and they're definitely being defended by our state troopers.
Well, it's funny you say that, because people that are trying to tell the paint the activists as bad people tend to use the argument, oh, they're all coming from out of state. They're not locals. They don't get it. They just came here to protest and cause havoc. And you're saying not only is that not really true, but these construction workers are all coming from out of state. And the people who decided to put a pipe through your yard are not from your neighborhood. They're sitting probably in an office in New York somewhere or Texas somewhere. So yeah, it's absolutely not locals doing this. We've got 1 minute left. I wanted to ask you what you would say to other people facing this, if you've learned anything so far.
To other people facing eminent domain, good luck in fighting a large corporation. I mean, it's not easy, but you have to do what you believe is right, and I think that's really important at the end of the day, is standing up for what you believe in, and hoping there's enough other people to join you. Enough other people that care about the environment and the soil.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Cindy, for all you're doing and for the awareness you're raising. And people can look you up online, as well as Ed Fallon, who's doing a lot of great work on this. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We have to go to a quick break, but if you're near Los Angeles, Portland, Oregon, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, or Washington, D.C., we have live stand-up comedy events coming up in your city. Email Redacted Tonight at rtamerica.tv for tickets. Coming up, I'll break down a mind-blowingly awful moment on CNN's reliable sources. Don't go away. Welcome back to Redacted Tonight VIP. The other day, Brian Stelter, the host of CNN's Reliable Sources, did a commentary that was awesome.
Americans are divided right now. The divide is real and it is distressing. And it's partly because of Facebook.
Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. I've never seen somebody so good at looking both condescending and like an clown at the same time. Yes, Facebook is causing the divide in this country. Not the fact that the insanely rich have sucked the wealth, resources, and jobs out of the country, thereby creating a miserable, troubled population, and then forcing in oligarchic corporate elites as the two main party candidates for president, then propping them up, fluffing them with the propagandistic establishment media. But no, it's Facebook. I hope he tears down Twitter, too, while he's at it. Leave no stone unturned, Stelter.
Fake news has become a plague on the web, and especially on social networks like Facebook. There are so many unreliable sources about this election, so we need a new rule for the web. Triple check before you share.
Is he on CNN saying websites are unreliable? Is he not self-aware at all? When he looks in the mirror, does he see anything? Is he just a vampire? CNN is fake news. I'll show you how I know, but I'll do it in Jeff Foxworthy's "You might be a redneck" style, because I think that might help you understand, Brian. Here we go. If you cover Donald Trump 23 times as much as you cover Bernie Sanders during the primaries, then you might be fake news. Trump got $2 billion worth of free media just during the primary, even before the primary had ended. If you hired Donald Trump's ex-campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, as a commentator, then you might be fake news. If you have another commentator named Donna Brazile who is actively working to get Hillary Clinton elected, including feeding her debate questions in advance, then you might be fake news. And Donna Brazile was forced out of CNN this week because of that. Feel free to comment on that, Mr. Stelter. If you tell people that it's illegal for them to read the leaked WikiLeaks documents, then you might be fake news. Yes, CNN actually tried to tell people that only the media is allowed to look at the WikiLeaks emails.
It's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
I'll take shit I pulled out of my ass just now for 1,000, Alex. Only the media can look at WikiLeaks. Yes, that's... it's the imagination of them to even come up with that idea is phenomenal. Anyway, Stelter went on.
But this site has tricked a whole lot of us, including Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway and Trump's son Eric, who clicked on the link and then shared it on Twitter.
Hold on, a website tricked Kellyanne Conway and Trump's son Eric? I know well-trained dogs who could trick Kellyanne Conway and Trump's son Eric. There are automatic toilets that often confuse the hell out of Eric Trump. Kellyanne Conway regularly gets stuck in those revolving doors, just going around and around. They got to call the fire department. It's a mess.
I see 3 buckets of them. Number 1, total hoax sites with totally made-up news solely trying to trick you.
Oh, you mean like CNN, where they have said false things like that it's illegal for people to read WikiLeaks, or that the Boston bombing suspects were dark-skinned when they weren't, or calling Hillary Clinton the Democratic nominee long before she sealed it up. You mean like that kind of stuff?
Number 2, hyper-partisan sites, which aren't lying per se, but they're misleading because they only tell you good news about your side and bad news about the other side.
Oh, you mean like CNN, for example, which basically failed to mention Bernie Sanders at all, relatively, during the primaries, or the fact that in their current CNN polling, they literally talked to 18 to 34-year-olds in order, this was before the debates, they wanted to make sure Gary Johnson and Jill Stein did not get to that 15% threshold they needed to get into the debates, so they talked to 18 to 34-year-olds. You mean that kind of manipulation?
But I think number 3 is the most dangerous kind. These are the hybrids, because they purposely mix a little bit of fact and then a lot of fiction.
Oh, you mean like CNN? A little bit of fact and a lot of fiction. That should be their motto. We're CNN. A little bit of fact, a lot of fiction. Stelter goes on to talk about a website that does this.
It says that the WikiLeaks emails revealed something shocking, that Hillary Clinton wanted Trump to run for president and predicted he would be successful. Now, there's a tiny bit of truth here. According to WikiLeaks, Clinton did say to an audience of bankers that she wanted more businessmen to run for office, but she never mentioned Trump. So the quotes on the website all about that are entirely made up.
Okay, he's not wrong that that's a bullshit site putting forward a completely false story. But what he's conveniently leaving out is that the WikiLeaks emails also showed that in 2015, Team Clinton was indeed saying they should prop up candidates like Donald Trump. One memo said, "We don't want to marginalize the more extreme candidates, but instead make them more Pied Piper candidates who pull the GOP further to the right." The 3 Pied Pipers that they list in that email are Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, and Ben Carson. So here is proof that the Clinton campaign wanted to prop up Donald Trump. The mainstream media, including CNN, then went on to, like I said, prop up Donald Trump, giving him 23 times as much coverage as Bernie Sanders and many times as much as more moderate Republicans like Jeb Bush, something like 10 times as much. So Brian Stelter leaves out that Clinton's team did want to further the candidacy, prop up the candidacy of Donald Trump, and that CNN did just that. So basically, Stelter's point is that lying by omission is far better than the outright lies on a fake news site.
These sites exist because they're profitable. They're clickbait. Every time we click and share and get angry about these fake stories, somebody makes a little bit more money.
Oh, clickbait. You mean like covering missing Malaysian Flight 370 for 24 hours, 7 days a week for the entirety of 2014? And during most of that coverage, you guys were just making shit up. Because no one knew what the hell happened to that plane. So you literally just made stuff up for weeks on end, which is an impressive talent. But yeah, Brian, Facebook is the real problem. No, you are the problem. Most people can figure out when they're reading a completely made-up news story from a completely crap website, maybe not Eric Trump, but that's a different story. But if it's CNN and it's covering Donald Trump every minute of every day, then you create a nation of idiots. All right? You have dumbed down the discussion in this country and then sold us a fucking racist charlatan, as well as, of course, the corporate oligarch Hillary Clinton. You've sold us those two options after giving us nothing but this insanity for months on end. You need more mirrors, Brian. You gotta find more mirrors. I mean, they're not that expensive now. You can get them on Target. You can get them on Amazon. They arrive before you click the button. Anyway, that's all the time. By the way, I hate Amazon. Don't go there, but I was just saying. That's all the time I have, but Redacted Tonight is twice a week. Go to youtube.com/Redacted Tonight for more and get exclusive content by just texting the word redacted to 444-999. It's free and easy. Good night and keep fighting.